down south. Bernard, yeah?
Oh, South Hill, yeah.
Yeah. But I think my heart is in both places.
We feel you.
Byron, are we ready?
Anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, about lending a hand, about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I've learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, about lending a hand. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. About love, about kindness, about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about love, about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine.
Yes.
That woke him up.
Yeah. Especially that high note. Way to go, Sandra. So I'm hearing it's about love. That's what I'm hearing. I got the message. Swing wide the doors. I love Daniel Nahmod. Well, welcome, everyone. I'm so glad to see you. And aren't we just welcoming spring into our hearts right now? Wow, the light, the sunshine. Everybody's in a lot better mood right now. So let's start with our opening affirmation together. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the good. That is the foundational statement of unity. There is only one activity in my life. All right, so Marilyn's going to read our daily word.
Thank you. My soft heart expresses love as I forgive. Holding on to hurt caused by someone's words or actions is harmful to my mental, physical, and emotional health. If I stew over these negative feelings, it's likely I will feel worse. It's when I'm willing to let go of these troubling emotions that the healing begins. Forgiveness is healing. Realizing the slight may have been unintentional, or the one who hurt me may be unaware of my pain, I feel compassion. I let go by repeating the words, "I forgive you," silently to myself, which helps me speak these words aloud when I am able. If I have caused unintentional harm, I ask for forgiveness. Through divine love, I forgive and am forgiven. As I express this love, I mend feelings and open the way to peace and harmony. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Luke 6:37.
Thank you, Marilyn. All right, so we are going to stand and greet your neighbor with a handshake, a hug, fist bump, a kiss. That works.
Interlocking.
I like that. That's cool.
Now, we're doing this and she. Oh, hysterical.
You started a new Exactly. And you know what else, man? I learned those kind of things because that's the germ that was right.
You have to go silent. I know it here a lot. That's the
You're doing the nanu, not the.
For those of us who are watching,
That's the live long and prosper with the nanu.
Remember that? Oh my God, he was funny. He was so outrageous at the time. Nobody was like him.
Yeah.
So fast. Yeah. Unbelievably fast. I'm going to expect that next week.
All right, let's remain standing because we are going to sing.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. You guys are a little slow on the uptake. In the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit.
Amen, sister. All right, thank you. So this morning's message, Lent and the preparation for something brand new. So let's welcome Jeff up. Thank you. Looking forward to it.
All right, everyone. Good morning. And in our meditation today, we are going to take a journey back in time. So if you'll all just get comfortable in your chair, your feet firmly planted, and we're going to take 3 deep breaths. And each time we take a deep breath, we're going to go back in time. So let's take the first one and release. Back to a time when there was no automobiles. Going to take another deep breath in and release. Back in time. And one more deep breath. And release. In that deep breath, we have been transported back to the biblical times. Life is simple. As we walk along a trail, there's no cars or horses, it's just people walking. And as you're walking through the streets, all you hear is just people talking with one another. You hear laughter. You hear merchants selling their fruit, their wares, their clothing, their livestock. You hear the sound of sheep. You hear the sound of sandals walking on dirt roads. It's a very simple time. Imagine who you would be back in those times. Farmer, a baker, a housewife, a seamstress, shepherd, or maybe you're a carpenter. Take some time and think of yourself in those days and what you might be doing. times of Christ, things happened very slowly. We release and we let go. Now, as you come back to this day, just come back with the things that are necessary for this moment in time. Presence of being here. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths. And 1 final breath. And wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. Open your eyes to this present day and moment. Welcome back, everybody. Preparing for something brand new. This week has been a week of preparing about 8 weeks worth of lessons. It wasn't intended to do that. It just seemed how things were coming and putting things into place. It's been kind of crazy, but in a good way, because I no longer feel like I'm just restricted to what this week, but thinking about down the line, and that's pretty exciting. During Lent, as we prepare for Easter, it's a time of release and reflection. I put together this release and affirmations as a part of our preparation, and I printed more just in case anybody didn't get any or you want to hand them out to a friend. But they are really good about releasing. They're actually from the Garden Lent devotional that we have out there as well from Unity. In the weeks leading up to Holy Week, Jesus continued his ministry of teaching, performing miracles, and preparing his followers for what was to come. We have an advantage because we're on this side of history, and so we all are very familiar with all the stories of leading up to it. But imagine if you're on the other side of history. There's no internet, there's no computers. Information is spread by word of mouth, by conversation, by interactions with one another. While he knows the truth, his disciples are seeing things through a different lens. They are seeing it through the lens of what they are wanting and what they're expecting is to come. The hope in a Messiah that's going to deliver them from tyranny and captivity and all the things that they were feeling from Rome in those days. And I want to make a distinction here because we always talk about Jesus and his disciples. And then when we talk about Jesus and his disciples, it's always about Jesus and the other 12 men. But that's really short-sighted because there were women that were very much a part of that ministry. The followers of Jesus were both men and women. We know that women were and are treated differently in the Eastern cultures, while their identity were separated as it related to the disciples. Their roles were very much the same. If we've had the fun time of watching The Chosen. If you've watched The Chosen, it's been a really good series and given you an idea of the ministry at that time and how truly involved the women were in that ministry, how dependent they were on the ministry. And a lot of times, as in our world today, if we're having a difficult time, a lot of times it's our spouse or it's a loving heart that we're talking to that's helping us. In many examples, people who had heard of Jesus and believed in the Messiah had much more belief than the disciples. And you think about that. There was a woman that wanted healing, and all she believed that she needed to do, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I would be healed. And then there's a Roman soldier, a Roman of all things, whose daughter is sick and dying, and all he can think of is get to Jesus. Can you imagine? You're in an army that is opposed, that you look down on these people, that you're not even serving them. You're basically watching over them. You're looking down on them, and you see this man who's performing miracles and who has a caring heart. And the only thing you can think of as your daughter is dying is, I need to get to that man. I can have hope in that. And those people, and there's many other stories, but those people had more faith in who Jesus was than the followers that were walking alongside him and seeing things. So we're going to look at, as we're coming to Easter, and I'll give you the highlights here in that this week we're going to be talking about preparing for something brand new, and then there's some other things coming. But what I wanted to do was talk about the events that are leading us up to Holy Week. And then Holy Week starts some other things. So during the events leading up to Holy Week, Jesus is traveling from Galilee to Judea. He's teaching and healing along the way. He foretells his suffering and his death and his resurrection many times. In fact, there are 3 times in the Bible that he foretold his death. The first was the first prediction was after Peter's confession, in which basically Peter pulls Jesus aside and he says, Master, why are you talking this way? And Jesus says to him, get behind me, Satan. And he says, for that time on, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and undergo great suffering in the hands of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed on the 3rd day and raised. That was in Matthew. Second prediction of his death came after the transfiguration. And this is a time when Jesus is with some of his disciples, and they're in prayer, and he has this transfiguration experience where the disciples see him change. And again, he talks about, they went on from there and passed through Galilee. He did not want anyone to know it, for he was teaching his disciples and saying to them, the Son of Man is to be betrayed into human hands, and they will kill him, and 3 days after being killed, he will rise again. But they did not understand what he was saying, and they were afraid to ask. See, what he was telling them didn't match up to what their expectations were. So just imagine someone that you love and you care about is telling you things that you're not able to relate to. And then the third prediction of his death came on the way to Jerusalem. He gave the most detailed prediction, stating that he would be handed over to the Gentiles, mocked, flogged, crucified, and then rise again. The disciples still struggle with the full meaning of his words. And that's one of the events. And there's many other things that Jesus was alluding to during his discussions. But despite the warnings, the disciples still did not fully understand or accept the reality of his death until after his resurrection. Jesus is preparing his followers for what is about to happen, yet they are not seeing it through his eyes. They still don't understand. They are still seeing it through the eyes or the lens of their own personal expectations. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out and talk about is atonement. So, the word atonement comes from the word of atone. And for me, when growing up in my reconciliation with fundamentalism and evangelical Christianity, it's caused a little bit of trauma, as you might think, as it relates to atonement. We see that sin represents making a mistake or missing the mark. Repentance means nothing more than having an about face or turning around. And we saw that in the story the story about the prodigal son, in which the son is going one direction, he's going away from the father, and at one point in his journey and everything he's doing, he decides that he needs to have an about face, and it would be better for him to be the lowest of the low in his father's ranch farm than it would be for him to be sleeping in a trough with pigs. And he's like, at the worst case, I will have a better life than what I'm living now. So he makes an about face. And I've told this story about the prodigal, but it's basically a return to the Father. So that's repentance. It's just simply a turn and saying, I'm going to do something different. So atone means to make amends or to reconcile. Atonement is mostly in reference to or meaning the reconciliation with God. Now, in this week's Thursday night class that we had in A Course in Miracles, my friend John, he's not here today, but John pointed out something to us that was, for me, I'd never heard this before, and I was like, oh my God, I love the vision of this. And he says atonement, if you take the atonement and you break it down, at one meant. Meaning that meant is a root word, or that word meant is used as it relates to a state of mind. Enjoyment is an example. So meaning that being the same mind as it is related to leadership and service. The meant in this situation, means having the Christ consciousness, being of the same mind. It's like an agreement. And in one of the scriptures, it says, for the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. After agreeing with the laborers for the usual daily wage, he sent them into his vineyard. When he was out about 9 o'clock, he saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and he said to them, "You can also go into the vineyard, and I will pay you whatever is right." So they went. When he went out again about noon and about 3 o'clock, he did the same. And at about 5 o'clock, he went out and found others standing around, and he said to them, "Why are you standing here idle today? Idle all day?" They said, "Because no one has hired us." So he said to them, "You also go into the vineyard." When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his manager, "Call the laborers and give them their pay, beginning with the last, and then going to the first." When those hired about 5 o'clock came, each of them received the usual day wage. Now when the first came, they thought they would receive more. But the first that came, they thought they would receive more. But each of them received the usual daily wage. And when they received it, they grumbled against the landowner, saying, "These last worked only 1 hour, and you made them equal to us, who have been borne the burden of the day and the scorching heat." But he replied to them, "Friend, I am doing you no wrong. Did we not agree? Did you not agree with me for the usual daily wage? Take what belongs to you and go. I choose to give to the last the same as I give to you. Am I not allowed to do what I choose of what belongs to me? Or are you envious because I am generous?" And then he says, "So the last will be first, and the first will be last." That is atonement. In A Course in Miracles, it says, "The reason you come before me is that I do not need miracles for my own atonement, but I stand at the end in case you fail temporarily." This is Jesus talking to the person in the writings. Meaning, my part in the atonement is a canceling out the errors that you could not otherwise correct. Now think about that. Canceling out the errors. In other words, you may not be able to correct something, but my role is to simply wipe that slate clean so that you don't feel like you have something more that you need to do. When you have been restored to the recognition of your original state, you naturally become part of the atonement yourself. As you share my unwillingness to accept error in yourself and others, you must join the great crusade to correct it. Listen to my voice. Learn to undo error and act to correct it. The power to work miracles belongs to you. I will provide you the opportunities to do them, but you must be ready and willing. Doing them will bring conviction in the ability, because conviction comes through accomplishment. The ability is the potential. The achievement is its expression. And the atonement, which is a natural profession of the children of God, is the purpose. Another thing that happens on the way to Jerusalem on the road is the raising. This happens during that timeline. Is a raising of Lazarus, when he raises Lazarus from the dead. I won't read all of it, but here's the part of where the atonement happens. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe